Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar. Hopefully, everyone is connected and can hear me okay. My name is Mihal. I'll be moderating the webinar today, and I'll be looking after everybody. Joining me on the call is my colleague, Scott Butlick. How are you?
Good, Mihal, thanks.
Excellent.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm glad you can hear me and all our tech is working. Scott is the VP of Customer Success here at BrightWork, and he has hands-on experience working with our customers and is very aware of their pain points. And I guess that's where our topic comes from today, leveraging your Microsoft 365 apps for project portfolio management. We work quite closely with our customers, and we hear from them that deploying project management solutions can be daunting. That can be because of strained resources, and they can encounter problems with user adoption. So I guess that's why we're talking about leveraging your existing Microsoft 365 environment to accelerate that user adoption and support your project teams, and I guess to scale performance as well. So really excited to be talking about this today, and hopefully you will all take something from it. Just before we get into our presentation or demo, I'm just going to go through one or two housekeeping items. We're assuming and we're hoping you've lots of questions. We might jump to the next slide, Scott, actually.
Okay.
So if you do have any questions, please add them to the questions panel in GoToWebinar.
Oh, hang on a second. I was not.
That's okay. So as I said, if you have any questions, please add them to the questions panel and that's perfect, Scott. For me, it's on the right-hand side of my screen. We'll get to as many questions as we can at the end of the presentation, if that's okay. But please add them while we're getting through everything, and we can have them ready for the end. We are recording today, so don't worry about taking any notes or any of that kind of thing. We'll send a recording tomorrow from my colleague Adam, and he will send you the recording so you can share it with whoever you need or watch back. So keep an eye out for that tomorrow, and we'll talk about that later. Just before we get into the agenda, I'm just going to run a very, very quick poll. I just want to know, are you guys using Microsoft 365 for project portfolio management? Easy peasy. So maybe you're using it extensively. Maybe you're using it but struggling. You might just be using it for Outlook and Office, or it's something you've never thought about. So I'm just going to let this run for a little bit. And it's interesting, most of you are going for the middle three, that you're using it, but you're struggling to bring it all together, or that you're using it for Outlook. Luckily, no one yet has said that they do not use 365 because they might be a little bit lost. So I'm just going to let that run for another couple of seconds. And that's perfect, guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to close that poll. Excellent. So yeah, it's pretty evenly split. Some of you are using it extensively, but most of you are using it, but you struggle, or you might just be using it for Outlook and Office. You're in the right place, and this is exactly the type of or the kind of people that we want to talk to today. So, Scott, at this stage, I might hand over to you, and I'll be on hand to answer any questions in the chat, but also we'll talk about our questions at the end of the presentation, if that works for you.
All right. Well, thank you, Mihal, and you are all very welcome to today's webinar, leveraging your Microsoft 365 apps for project portfolio management. So here's the agenda for today's session. Now, first, we'll take a look at how you can standardize your project setup with familiar Power Apps in Microsoft 365. And I'll show you a practical example of how you can collaborate with your team using the integrations with SharePoint Online, Microsoft Office Online, and Microsoft Teams. Now, next, we will look at how automation with Power Automate will facilitate your project management processes. And our final topic will explore the data-backed reporting you can leverage with Power BI. And of course, at the end, after the demo, we will have a question and answer section for everybody. Now, first, I want to address this question. Why would you leverage Microsoft 365 in the first place? Well, and why would you want to leverage Microsoft 365 for project portfolio management? And here are some reasons that you might relate to. One, we face limits on what our IT departments can and will do to bring project portfolio management solutions into the organization. Sometimes there'll be pushback and constraints there. Two, your team members already use a variety of Microsoft 365 related tools. Having a solution that is based on a familiar user interface helps user adoption. And this is especially true with remote work. Three, your team might use a variety of project management skills, making the introduction of standard project processes a challenge. And four, a new software solution always brings concerns about system administration and training. And if it is something different, especially if it's something different from what you are used to. So here's where BrightWork 365 can address these concerns. And briefly, what is BrightWork 365? Well, it is a Power App built on the Microsoft 365 Power Platform, and that is focused exclusively on project and portfolio management. And it delivers process and functionality immediately, so you can start quickly and have cross-project and portfolio visibility, and allows you to evolve and mature at your own pace. The way we will be able to do a start and evolve quickly is supported by our BrightWork project management success approach. First, BrightWork 365 includes configurable industry standard templates that support request and project management built right into the product. And second, our deployment services ensure you can start quickly and evolve as you use the solution and mature your project processes. BrightWork 365 is integrated with these Microsoft 365 productivity and collaboration tools. As I mentioned, it's built on Power Apps. It's connected to a Dataverse database for security. It leverages Power Automate and Power BI to support functionality. And BrightWork 365 integrates with Microsoft Teams, SharePoint Online, and Microsoft Office Online to support collaboration across the organization. Okay, so what I want to do now is I'm going to get into a live demo, and you'll see how these things come into play and how we integrate with the rest of the Microsoft 365 universe. So I'm going to put my taskbar in, and where is it? Nope, that's not it. There we go. All right, hopefully everybody can see that I'm in a demonstration environment of BrightWork 365. And briefly, BrightWork 365 is organized in three major areas that you would work with. One is new project requests, what we call a request area, the projects area where you work with specific projects, and portfolios and programs where these projects are organized so that you can look at roll-up reporting across different programs and groups of projects. And as I mentioned earlier, it's supported by standard templates that you can use right out of the box to start working projects immediately. So there's a light project template, a standard project template, structured template, And we have a few examples that we're working with here for new product introduction and product update. There's also a request template. So now I'm going to go back to the project area. And we're going to go and switch to projects here. Now, this is a look at all of the projects that are in the portfolio, and we can look at them by a particular way, either just the ones in progress or not started. But let's go to the all projects default, and we'll pick a particular project. And I'm going to just pick this widget project. No, that's a product introduction. Let me just pick one that's standard here. All right. There we go. So projects are organized in the general information about the project, the charter, what's the status of the project, who's involved in terms of the team, what are the stages that are being addressed as a process. In this case, there are 4 stages: initiate, plan, execute, which is the current stage, and closeout. The actual project plan, or Gantt, is a way in which you can do interactive scheduling for a particular project and work with these tasks, adjust them, assign them out, and it updates the schedule right away. A place where you can see the work that you're assigned to. In this case, I have one particular task assigned to me. One of the integration points is with SharePoint Online for managing documents. So from within the tool, you have a dedicated SharePoint site and a library for this particular project where all the project documents can be stored and worked with. Or you can go out to the site itself, and if I click on that, it will open up the dedicated SharePoint library for this project. That's one of the nice integration points. So being able to collaborate with the team across familiar platforms and familiar tools is supported here. There's also a place in which to manage actions, issues. There might be project settings that the project manager wants to set in terms of how the project behaves, things like that. And then if stages need to go through approvals, which is an automation, it can be managed here by the coordinator. And so now I'll go back out to the project level. So we have integration with team, with SharePoint. What I did not show was the integration with, let's go here. Let's see, is there a team channel? Yes, the integration with teams. So in this case, every project can have its own dedicated team channel, and that overall team can be associated with the program or with the entire organization. And so once a channel is created, all right, this is my space, but I do want to go to the teams that I was working with, and let's get out there, web redesign. So here's the team channel for it. And in there we can have posts, so we can collaborate with a larger group, a larger set of people involved in the project. If there are files to be shared outside of the project team, this is a place to do it. And we can also bring up the charter or actually work within the project itself right from the team channel. So if this is where I work usually, then I can work within the project from inside the team channel itself. And as far as office tools go, that's coordinated with the library in that I can add Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, use those here and work with them as if I was working right in SharePoint Online with that. Now, I mentioned the approvals at the project level. I'm going to switch over to requests. That's one place where we leverage Power Automate quite a bit. New requests will go through let's just do CRM updates. New requests go through a process, and this process is automated through Power Automate. And in there, the approvals are handled by taking the request from a draft request and submitting it, having it reviewed and accepted. You could have another review step in here and then an approval step. So there's several choices of process that you can support through your requests here. But each one will send out an email to that particular person that's in the approval, and they will be able to update whether that's accepted or rejected or needs more information. And that's all handled through a Power Automate flow. There can be other automations put in place in notifications of assignments and things like that that are all supported within this type of solution. So now I'm going to go and navigate to the dashboards here. And this is how we can look at not only requests, but projects by their different categorizations, projects by program, projects by project manager, and see who has what on their plate by status, by the health of the project, by their sponsors. These kinds of information could be looking at costs and overall budgets. So there's a variety of these views and charts that are built into the solution. And there's also the integration with Power BI. So here the Power BI reporting is leveraged to take all of the project data and request data that's in BrightWork 365 and present it in a way to a broader audience. Here is an example of a portfolio dashboard where we're looking at projects and how they're doing. Now we might want to isolate on a particular program. So first let's pick the portfolio as Contoso, and let's look at customer success as a program. And we have 3 projects in here. And I could look at a particular template if I wanted to. Let's open this up again. So that's an overview look in Power BI. I can also look at a particular project and get a nice snapshot of what's going on in this particular project. What are the current dates of the project? What's the % complete? How much of the project is completed and what's in progress? Who's working on what in terms of their workload and the specific details. And if I needed to look at another project, I can just go ahead and pick it. And I'll be able to drill into that one as well. I can look at summary timelines this way as well. So all the projects in the portfolio, again, I could focus on a program. Let's pick company operations this time. And I'll see the timeline of the projects that are going on for that particular program. I can drill in and see individual project schedules if I want to. And I don't have to be in BrightWork 365 to do that. If I just needed to see the summary. I can look at work and how it's assigned and focus in on a particular person. And then look at cost and budget. So where you are tracking budgets and current costs, and there's the ability to do that within the project. You have a way in which to roll this all up and look at it across the portfolio. So that's all handled through Power BI reporting. And then there are other Power BI reports. You can take a look at all your documentation that's out there by project. Another really interesting report here is a look at resource usage and utilization across the portfolio of projects. And here we're looking at where we might have all the assignments for a particular person, and whether they are starting to get over allocated. So Alex is looking a little bit over allocated for a couple of weeks here, and you can change that time frame if you want to look at 6 weeks ahead, and let's say calendar weeks, and let's see how that shapes up. Oh, it's even worse. And then if you need to drill into that, I can look at what are Alex's assignments and where is he running into trouble here. Also can see what calendars the projects are using. The standard calendar might be a 5-day work week. Some of the projects might be working additional days in order to get things done, or working a particular weekend. And that's all set through the project itself. All right, so just to recap, we're in the Microsoft universe using a Power App, using the Dataverse to store the information, and then we're leveraging all of the integrations of Microsoft 365 to manage and work with our projects, including SharePoint Online, Teams, Power Automate, and Power BI. So now I'm going to go ahead and go back to the presentation. Now, at the start of the webinar, we asked why leverage Microsoft 365 for project and portfolio management. And as we've just seen, that with BrightWork 365, you can extend your investment and expertise in Microsoft 365 to work for you on managing projects. You'll be able to deploy faster on a platform that everyone is already comfortable working with. Now, BrightWork 365 lets your team work with apps that already know and you use daily. Now, this will ensure better use of adoption and help mature your project management processes. And it also helps you to implement the standardization of project management processes across the organization.
All right, so let's take a look at some questions. Question is about licensing. So Troy wants to know, he says that they use a Microsoft A5 license, but it is my understanding that Power Apps is licensed separately. So what kind of Power App licensing is required? So maybe you could give a kind of catch-all answer about licensing, if that works for you, Scott.
Yeah, sure. There are two types of, you're correct, there's a Power App license for that you would have to use. It comes in two different types. It's either a Power App per user license, or it's a Power App per app license. I guess they're calling it Power App Premium now for the Power App per user. They've changed the name a couple of times. But that would be required for using the interface that I was showing in the demo there. the access to the Power App side of Microsoft 365.
Excellent. Dimitri would like to know is this on-prem or cloud-based? And if it's cloud-based, is it
I think it's
FedRAMP or
FedRAMP.
GCC approved?
Yes. Okay. So the answer is it's in the cloud. It's on Microsoft 365. Now, if you happen to be in a GCC environment, 365 environment, it can also be used there as well. And we have several GCC clients in various GCC environments. Some are the regular GCC, some are GCC high. It hasn't been specifically, we aren't specifically FedRAMP, have gone through that process, but we have deployed in GCC many times actually.
Excellent. Oh, I just lost my questions. Where are they gone? Oh, here they are. Philip wants to
risk register.
Risk register, yeah.
Yes, there is a risk register, and the example I just didn't happen to show to you. I showed you projects. Some were simple, some were a little more advanced. If I go to a structured project, it has the risk register turned on. Now you have the option in your templates of turning on and off any of these aspects of project management: issues, risks, actions, cost, communications. Here's the full set. But yes, there is a risk register in there, and it's set up as a best practice risk management approach where you identify the risk, consequences and root cause, what's the probability and the impact, where are you at in the process, things like that. You have a mitigation plan and a contingency plan. So yeah, very much supported.
Excellent. Just a question on Teams. Can there be a connection to a specific team instead of a channel? I think it's
yes,
focused. It is possible. Oh,
it is. Yeah, it is possible.
Oh, that's
cool.
an
option. When I showed the project settings, one of the settings is rather than creating a channel for your team, for your project, you can attach it to an existing team or an existing channel if you want.
Oh, nice. And another question from Rins, I'm going to say. Apologies if I said that wrong. They want to know, is there a version history within the project properties?
Yes.
Nice.
It's known as, in Power App terminology, let me go back out here to the risks, and it's known as, well, let me select the record here. There we go. Yeah. Sorry. There's well, there's an audit on the items. It just there's a place to get to it. I guess it would be anyway.
We can get it.
I can show it here. Yeah, you can get it, and look at the history on it. Maybe it's in the record itself here. There we go. There we go, audit history. You could do that on the risk. You could do that on the charter.
Nice.
And it'll let you know what's happened to it. Okay, I know it's taking a little while. There it is. So full history of what happened on this particular item.
That's pretty comprehensive.
Yep.
Question from Cindy, who's asking what's the best way to learn about this stuff in depth. So I don't think this is what you're asking, but just while we're talking about BrightWork 365, our customers do have kind of extensive training opportunities. There is a web-based knowledge base, I guess, first of all, to talk about, Scott, and then you will have a customer success partner. So there are extensive ways of looking at training. Oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Right. This is where you can go in depth on BrightWork 365's functionality. And as Michal mentioned, we have a customer success team that you would have a dedicated customer success partner that would take you through the deployment process and your continued journey from start through evolve to wherever you wanted to go with this.
Yeah, and there's some other really cool training videos as well that's part of this too, and there's customer hours as well, which are very cool as well. So there's extensive ways to learn more about BrightWork 365. In terms of learning about Microsoft Dynamics in general, that's not something I would be able to help with, Scott. It's not something I would know too much about.
There's a learning center for the Microsoft 365 and specifically Power Apps and what they call the Power Platform.
Sure.
So that there is a Microsoft site for learning all about the Power Platform. That would be the Dataverse, Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, and they have a whole curriculum out there for the general infrastructure that supports applications and solutions like this.
Sure. I guess the reason I bring up the knowledge base that you're showing here is that this stuff can be overwhelming for people. They might have some knowledge of this, they might be able to handle some of it, but they'd be nervous about handling all of it. So what's important to us is that we can kind of guide you along the way and start you off out of the box with as much as possible straight out the gate. And then we work with you to, evolve to wherever you need to be. But if you become a BrightWork 365 customer, you're starting off pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
And that actually leads into Philip's question. Philip was asking about risk register earlier, and he was wondering about customization. So I guess that's the next step after what I was talking about there. Once you start and you get your templates up and running, customization might be your next step.
Correct. And the customer success team works with you to determine what are the changes, adjustments, additions that you need within your particular instance of project management that we can enhance onto the out-of-the-box templates that we already have. So we'll have you 80% there with what's out of the box, and then the next 10 or 15% or 20% would be maybe some additional data points that need to be on the project, different ways of categorizing the projects. You might need something in your issues that are specific to you. You might have a particular process that you take your projects through. Maybe you have a stage gate process that we would be able to adjust and modify and build into it.
Yeah. So I guess just to emphasize, customization is very, very important to us, and a huge part of BrightWork 365.
And it's more configuration rather than customization, I would say.
Oh, sure, yeah. Good point. Yeah. Let's move on to Carl, who wants to know: can upper management be given read access to see all projects via portfolios?
Yes.
Nice. Cindy, thank you very much for your question about learning. And our last question, unless anybody wants to jump in, please do speak now or chat to us tomorrow. Does this integrate with Microsoft Project Online?
It does not.
Sure.
We use our own scheduling capability. It is very similar to Microsoft Project. It supports dependencies of all types. Your traditional finish to start, finish to finish, start to start, and even start to finish. It does the scheduling in real time as presented to you on the screen, as I was showing in the demonstration, and then it's captured and saved back into the database.
Okay, cool. With that, I might leave it there for now. But as I said before, like this is not the end of the conversation. If you do, you might walk away from this today thinking, I wish I asked them about this, or I wish I asked them about that. And please do reach out to us. So we have some contact details. The best person to talk to first is our colleague Adam, who will, his contact details are there on the screen, but he will also be reaching out to all of you tomorrow and just sharing the recording of what we talked about today, and also any slides that we used. And he's the best person to talk to in terms of, if you want to talk more about your specific project management challenges. Actually, I skipped a question earlier from Lawrence. Lawrence asked, is there a trial? It's something that we can talk about in your evaluation with Adam later and our sales team. So it's definitely something that we can talk about. With that, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I hope that it was interesting and beneficial. I've certainly found it that way myself. I also want to thank Scott for taking the time to go through that presentation. And hopefully we will chat to you all very soon. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.
See you later, Scott. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.